Nikki Harris popping up in the top 10 in ninth. And this is how Stage 4 reshaped the race. Armitsted's lead goes out to 8 seconds over Ashley Moolman-Pasio. There are 10 seconds to Elisa Longa-Borghini. And Marianne Voss's marauding ride has been rewarded with a move up to 4th. She's at 15 seconds now, with Amanda Spratt also within touching distance of a podium place on 17 seconds. Well, 2 exceptional days racing, stages 3 and 4. And on both occasions, Marianne Vos was put under serious pressure, but a very different outcome yesterday, Helen. What a ride from her. Yeah, definitely. It was a great race to watch. Really exciting, with Lizzie being really aggressive, Ashley Moolman-Pasio and Elisa Longa-Borghini up there in the middle of the race. It was really exciting to see. And where Marianne managed to bridge the gap in the last kilometres to bring the group back together for the finish was really impressive. Yeah, and she had to do it in the absence of one of her key domestiques as well. The big powerhouse Anna van der Breggen crashed out yesterday, but overnight we hear that Christina Majerus for Lizzie Armitstead, she won't be starting. Last riders that are there to get them in the right place in the right time, but they still have very strong teams, and Bols Dolmans particularly have a really strong team around them. Now, one of the other things you picked up on yesterday was how well some of the, if you like, the British riders who were getting less attention on this race fared yesterday, and one name in particular stood out for you, Molly Weaver. Yeah, Molly Weaver, this is her first full season on Liv Plantur, and she's really stepped up her game, and she's working super hard. She's starting to read the races really well, and yeah, really exciting to see that kind of level of rider come through in British cycling. Absolutely, one to watch today. Well, nothing's certain in cycling, except for this perhaps, that one of the riders will be wearing the yellow jersey on the final podium of the Aviva Women's Tour. Only question is, who's your biggest rival?
Marianne Vos.
Look on the right here, this is the world champion, Marianne Vos. Look at the sheer power. Vos is going to take this. The Olympic champion, Marianne Vos, takes it on the line. And this will be Marianne Vos's third victory in a row. Is there anything this superstar can't do?
Lizzie Armitstead said you're her main competitor. What do you think about that?
Well, she has a good lead, so of course, yeah. Well, it's nice to hear, and she thinks that I'm still capable of closing the gap. But I think it's going to be really difficult. She has a strong team. She's strong herself, and she has to make a mistake to lose those seconds in this stage. But yeah, well, second place is only on, I believe, on 8 seconds, third only on 10, and I'm down 15 seconds. So after 4 days of racing hard here on the English hills, it's still close.
You have a much smaller team today. You lost a couple of riders overnight. How does that affect how you're going to ride the race?
Yeah, well, of course, it's very difficult to control a race with 3 riders, and unfortunately, we lost Anna van der Breggen in a crash yesterday, and overnight, indeed, Lucinda Brandt and Shara Gillow got ill. So, yeah, that's a shame, but yeah, we do with what we can with 3 riders.
But of course, it's not just about Marianne Vos. The riders in second and third place on the general classification.
Because she could go for the intermediate sprints and the win, and she could take away the leadership from Lizzie. But in any way, it would be really hard for her to beat Lizzie. But for sure, she can take away my spot and Ashley's spot in the podium.
Yesterday was a very tactical game, very exciting for everyone else to watch, but of course we would have liked our little breakaway to last. Came back in the last 600 meters, which kind of caught us a little bit, which she always knows how to do very well. So yeah, I mean, it's all wide open at the moment. She's hungry for those seconds, and yeah, it's going to be a hard job to defend the seconds, but of course we'll do our best to do that.
Well, those are some of the key riders, but what about the race itself? Because the route and the way it's structured, very important today, and those
bonus seconds are going to be critical again, aren't they?
I think so. I think if I was Boels Dolmans, I'd make sure that I'd secure some seconds on the first sprint point for Lizzie Armitstead, and then you just have to focus on the finish. And the finish we saw last year, Christine won by attacking away, and it's a tough finish, and so it's going to be really important that there's no time gaps in the peloton come finish line.
Yeah, although Lizzie Armitstead is defending, in a way, the simpler job is to go on the offensive sometimes, isn't it? And Marianne Vos simply will have to attack, and she really needs to win the stage as well, and win it with time gaps. So her objectives are quite simple, whereas Armitstead's are more complex because she's got to look over her shoulder in so many different directions.
She does, but she has a very strong team, and so that team can actually mark out the other major players in the race, and they can focus on getting her in the top three, hopefully.
Okay, well, yesterday when I said who's going to win the Aviva Women's Tour, you thought about it for a split second and said Lizzie Armitstead. Overnight, change your mind?
I'm still going to go with Lizzie.
All right. Fair enough. That's Helen's view, and here's your view of the final stage of the Aviva Women's Tour. We're back on familiar ground for the finale of the Aviva Women's Tour, and it's the second shortest stage of them all at just 113.2 kilometres. The last two Queen of the Mountains points of the race done and dusted within the opening 60 kilometres. After those have been disputed, all that remains is a final hotspot sprint at Desborough and a testing drag up to the same finish line in Kettering that hosted a spectacular sprint in the 2015 edition of the race. The final stage of the 2016 Aviva Women's Tour will begin in the county town of Northampton. Famous for its shoe and boot heritage, it's the home of Dr. Martens, Crockett & Jones and Churches, to name just a few. The peloton will be hot-footing it along some new routes and climbs within Northamptonshire, a county steeped in history and renowned for its beautiful countryside and traditional market towns. A favourite finish of the 2015 race, Kettering provides the perfect backdrop for the climax of this year's tour. It's a fantastic mix of old and new, with historic buildings sitting alongside regenerated areas. Well, not long now, and we'll find out whether today's racing is enough for Lizzie Armitstead to hold on to the yellow jersey and take the overall win in the Aviva Women's Tour. We'll be back after a very short break.
Northampton bathed in warm sunshine for the start of the final stage of the Aviva Women's Tour. Ahead of them today, they will be pedalling down to Kettering over a distance of 113 kilometres, and there are 76 riders taking the start. It's the last throw of the dice for anybody who wants to take on Lizzie Armitstead, who is in the Aviva yellow jersey. They're the field at the moment, nice and relaxed. Big crowd has turned out to support them as they swing round this left-hander on their way out of the town of Northampton. Now, there's a list of non-starters today. Now, what is that going to mean, Sarah?
The really big news is Bravo Liv only starting with 3 riders. Marianne Vos only supported by Roxana Knetemann and Anouska Kostva. This is big news for Vos because we've seen Lucinda Brand work so hard for her all throughout the race. And of course, Anna van der Breggen is such a good climber. So really going to be dangerous. How is she going to manage to chase after Armitstead?
Well, it's all relaxed at the moment, but believe me, once the action starts, it's going to be red hot. There is the winner of the event last year, Lisa Brennau, the German. Well, she's had a bit of a quiet tour this time.
She starts 44 seconds behind Lizzie Armitstead, so if her team, Canyon SRAM, want to get that back, they're really going to have to work hard today.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 riders within touching distance. When I say touching distance, it's only seconds, but trying to close down is almost an impossibility. That's Ensing there from Park Hotel Valkenburg we were looking at, and right at the back is Molly Weaver. Now that's another name to talk about.
She has been the most fantastic domestique for her teammate Leah Kirchman, who's currently sitting 37 seconds back on GC, and her teammate Flirty Mackay, who's the best young riders jersey at the moment.
So we're ready to start this final stage. That's going to take the riders at 113 kilometres. There are 2 climbs left, and the American Katie Hall is in the Strava Queen of the Mountains jersey, where she has been for several days, and she's looked very good every time the road rears up. Well, this is kilometre 0. That flag's going to be taken in for the concluding time as the riders are rolling away now to get this final stage underway. Bowles Dolman are on the front of the peloton, driving this hard because they're trying to set up Lizzie Armitstead for the seconds bonuses at the first sprint, which come at Bugbrook after only 8.5 kilometres.
That Bowles train is amazing. They have Nikki Harris on the front, followed by Ellen Van Dijk, followed by Chantal Black, followed by Lizzie Armitstead. We've seen this all week, but there's an attack.
And the speed is already very, very high. Remember, 3 seconds to the winner on the line, 2 for second and 1 for third. How important is this first sprint going to be? Still Bowles Dolman winding the tempo up. Lizzie Armitstead, cool and composed in the yellow jersey, in third position.
We can see Marianne Vos there in the Chain Reaction points jersey, staying right at the front there, keeping an eye on Lizzie Armitstead.
Yeah, she's in touch, and we can expect her to try and get involved in this sprint. But the pace at the front is electric, because it's the Bowles Dolman's team that's winding it up. But here is the charge for the line. Well, Armitstead, it was academic in the end, wasn't it? Lizzie Armitstead, whoa, look at that, the clenched fist as she turns to her teammate Chantal Black, and third was the Belgian champion Jolien Dora. But the question you've got to ask yourself is, where was Marianne Vos?
It looked like she crossed in fourth, but great tactics from Bowles. Not only Armitstead winning, but Black taking the points from everyone else.
And what it means is Armitstead has increased her lead over everybody else by another 3 seconds.
It doesn't seem like losing Majerus has even phased Bowles. With only 5 riders, they're still super strong.
Well, 4 in a team, that's a lot of strength, isn't it? So we're looking at the front of the peloton again here now, and they're all together. We can see the Australian champion just on the left, Spratt, as we're getting into some narrow, twisty roads here now.
We're just after the 20-kilometre mark here, and you can see the peloton spread across the road, but look at that attack.
Yeah, an attack from Ayla Cipollini, and that is exactly what riders are going to try and do today. They're going to take probing moves, particularly the ones that are not figuring in the overall classification, because it's their final chance to show.
Teams will really want to show their sponsors they've been doing well here, and riders want that last chance for glory. So it's going to be interesting because there's so many games within games at this point in the race.
And of course there's 2 lots of competitions going on here now. The riders that are completing the tour, who are not in contention overall, maybe they'll be given a chance to get clear, who knows, a stage. But those who are in contention, then of course they will have to watch each other. Number 125 stopping there on the left of our screen.
That was Valentina Scandalara from the silence team, and I think that was a puncture.
Yeah, it looked like it, so she'll be waiting for the arrival of the service vehicle, but it doesn't look as though the Ayla Cipollini rider is going to get clear at this. Oh, we've got a fall on the right. There's a faller on the right there. Oh, where's she gone? Right down into the ditch.
Oh, wow. At least she's getting back up again. I'm glad to see that.
Oh, my goodness, it looked like an Orica AIS rider, but we probably will get back to that. But there's a little group beginning to form off the... Oh, it is. Okay, that's number 76, right. That is Taylor Wiles, the 26-year-old American who actually had a very good day on day 1 in the mountains. Now we've got 8 riders that are starting to distance themselves off the front of the peloton, and there is one British rider in this group in the green helmet. That's Molly Weaver, riding for Team Liv Planteur, and there is the crash victim, Taylor Wiles, getting a nice hefty push, so she's back into the action. It's a chance to have a look at the climb that they are coming near to. It's Newnham Hill, the first of the 2 mountains today. It's 1.5 kilometres long, and none of the riders here that have gone clear are going to affect the overall standings in the Queen of the Mountains competition.
We'd expect to see the climbers in this group. Lauren Kitchen, the young Australian, she's a really plucky Australian for high tech who've had so much bad luck in this race. Other climbers there, Eugenia Bujak, the Polish rider. Molly Weaver's got a good climb, and Elena Cecchini, she's a classic specialist, but she's going to be good in a short climb like this one.
Now we've also got in this group Marta Bastianelli, who was the world champion in Stuttgart back in 2007, and that senior title was added to a junior crown that she'd won in 2004. Well, there we are, we're on the climb now, and let me just come back to Molly Weaver. This is a cracking move for her, because at 1 minute and 41 seconds back on the yellow jersey in 18th position, it's good for her, but obviously the big guns behind will be fully aware of this.
There's no one else who's really going to challenge on the general classification in that group. Eugenia Bujak's 4:35 back, Ensing's 5:27, Cecchini 5:56, but no one else is even going to feature.
That is a shame, really, because if Molly Weaver had not been here, then the peloton behind would have just been happy to tap along and probably give this break an opportunity to go all the way. But they will be conscious of the fact that they are increasing the lead, and there will be a point where I think that the chase will really develop from behind.
Liv Planter have ridden such a good race. We've seen Molly Weaver so many times working and working for her teammates, so it's lovely that the team have given her an opportunity to shine on her own behalf.
It would be nice. Molly Weaver, who was a former hockey player actually, and she went to Loughborough University, and then she took up cycling because of a knee injury. Member of the Hale Zone Cycling Club. So Weaver looking nice there, good style, rhythmically pedalling without any problem at all. Here is the crash victim, just getting back into the safety of the peloton. There's the advantage, 1 minute and 20, all ready for the leading group.
That's coming perilously close to Weaver taking the lead, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it? 1:41 back, so if she gets another 22 seconds, she will be the race leader on the road. That'll be a nice thing to be aware of. Look at the crowds here. This is fantastic. The Aviva Women's Tour has captured the imagination, and they have all come out. This is just like we get on the continent, and they're giving generous support as well for the survivors. Only 76 then have made it so far, or this far, in the race.
Great to see the riders with cowbells out there. On the front, it's Eugenia Bujak, the Polish rider. She's in the black and pink of BTC City Ljubljana for a very small development team full of Eastern Europeans who do wonderful things and really punch above their weight.
Well, they were out of the saddle working hard, weren't they, the leaders? So yet another climb that's sapping the strength out of the field. And talking about strength being sapped, he's one of the casualties from the leading group. This is Lauren Rowney, the Australian on the Orica AIS, and she's finding this climb far too hard.
She almost looks like she's going backwards there, and that's a real problem for her, because after this we have another fast descent.
But look at the crowd here, my goodness me, they're going to part, aren't they? A sea of faces. And the noise ringing out, it's a cacophony of applause that encourages the riders up to the summit.
This is what the Aviva Women's Tour is known for. It makes you so proud to see all these fans here to cheer these great riders. On the front there we have Janneke Ensing in the kind of fluorescent green and black of Park Hotel Valkenburg. That's another very small team who've been really shining. I think there's been a rider from them in almost every break.
Well, they're getting the chance today, aren't they, to show? And they all want to ride this tour. All the top women in the world want to come to the Aviva Women's Tour. It has a fantastic reputation, brilliant organisation, and of course a super course to race on. Well, there we are. You can see in the distance the pennant just moving slightly in the breeze as the leading riders are approaching. Hello, we've got them out today, coming up to the line. This is Bujak over the line first, and we'll tidy the rest of the places up as the riders prepare now for the descent under the trees. And here is the results. So Ensing second, Cecchini third, Bastianelli fourth, Lapisto fifth, and Kitchen in sixth spot.
Weaver didn't even seem to contest that, and that's very smart of her. She's saving her energy to try and get away, to try and get those 1 minute 45 seconds, and looking at an attack on the descent, I think she might do it.
Well, what we can confirm is that we have our first classification winner of the tour, because Katie Hall has won the Strava Queen of the Mountain. She cannot be beaten, so she can have a nice ceremonial ride all the way to the finishing, Kettering.
That's a fantastic result for the young American. This is only her second full-time year of racing. Really good to see her learning every time she rides.
Well, here they are, the crowd still getting behind the peloton, which is beginning to fragment a little bit here. Riders are laboured at the back, and they could actually get detached as we come back to the leaders sweeping round this left-hander. It really has captured the imagination today, the race, hasn't it? They are all out giving them support.
It's fantastic to see. Weaver's on the front. She's pushing it down. She came second in last year's National ITT Championship, so she really knows how to make those efforts.
There we are, one of the riders from the Drops team just about to lose contact. There's a good chance they could regroup here, though, because the peloton at this stage are not really hammering it.
There's Bujak on the front. They seem to be working really well together with this group. And Lotte Lapisto in the blue and white jersey. She's such a good descender, Finnish national champion, and she's very good at this, very good sprinter.
She had a good tour, actually, last time she was here 12 months ago, so she is warming once again to the challenge now. Then I think here he is again. Well, look at that, it's fantastic, isn't it? What an outfit that is, very nationalistic.
That's dedication for you. I don't know what the riders must think when they ride past it.
Yeah, I don't know about the riders, what about everybody else, but never mind. Right, we're under the trees again now for the descent with the peloton as the leaders sweep round this left-hander on a lovely surface road, very, very wide indeed. Now, if there was a big strong wind coming from the left or right, we'd see Echelon racing, but it is quite calm today.
The peloton, as you said, has regrouped on the descent here.
Well, with 40 kilometres covered approximately of the 113 kilometre stage, we've got these 7 riders ahead, and there's going to be a lot more racing to come. Welcome back. We're at 49 kilometres in the feed zone, and Molly Weaver looking to pick up a bottle there. Now then, this group is 4 minutes clear, so Molly Weaver is the virtual leader on the road.
Yes, at this point, if Molly Weaver can finish 1 minute and 44 seconds ahead of Lizzie Armitstead, she's won the whole overall race.
Well, she's absolutely riding her socks off here, and the other 6 are working quite happily with her. They're no threat at all to the overall positions, so it could play very nicely into the hands of Molly Weaver. But the big guns behind will be fully aware of this. Now, look at this. Lisa Brennauer, the winner last year, has abandoned, so that's quite a big story. Well, this is the peloton. Remember, they're 4 minutes behind that leading group of 7 as we're about to start the second and final climb of this year's tour, and that's at Nearsby, and it comes at 58 kilometres. It's 1.1 kilometres long. This ascent certainly will not faze the riders. It's unlike the brutes we've gone over in the last 2 days.
And it'll be great for this group because while we have got some great climbers there, we've got a lot of classics riders and sprinters in Lotta Lepisto, Marta Bastianelli there, and Janneke Ensing.
But Weaver is, of course, the rider that is going to profit from this, and she must realise just what a cracking advantage it is that she's helped to generate with the group.
It's lovely rolling countryside they're riding through here, and Northamptonshire, it's the first place that ever got on board with the Aviva Women's Tour right back in 2014, so it's lovely to see them be here in this year again.
Well, there it is, 4 minutes and 37 seconds. So that is a very handsome margin for the leading group. But of course, the big star from this area is Anna Barnes, who comes from Towcester, and she would dearly love to be involved in the sprint at the finish because there'll be masses of crowds there to support her.
The sprint finish is going to be so exciting. We'll maybe see riders we haven't seen already this week, including High-Tech Products, who lost 5 of their riders in yesterday's crash.
Well, there's the blackboard coming up to confirm the advantage to the leaders, and they'll be really happy to see it. Let me just once again reiterate the group here. It's Cecchini, Bastianelli, Weaver, Lapisto, Ensing, Bujak and Kitchen.
Yeah, there on the back is Lauren Kitchen in the blue and white of High-Tech. High-Tech is one of the teams here that's in a really good position. High-Tech and Ali Cipollini, they've got riders in the group and they've got very good sprinters behind them as well, so this is perfect for them.
Well, riders at the back here from Orica Greenedge are beginning to find it tough. That's Taylor Wiles, and remember, she was in the wars a little early on when she crashed, but she is back again, but sitting right on the tail end of the peloton.
They're stretching out a little bit at the front, which implies that they're starting to chase a little bit hard, because at this point Bujak is also now sitting second on GC.
Excellent rolling country here, narrow and twisty, perfect to keep ahead of a group, out of sight and out of mind. It means that the chasers cannot sight them, unlike when they're on a big highway getting near to the finish.
This climb, as you can see, it's not ramps all the way up. It's got these little downhill sections then climbing again, but this is a lot more gentle than things we've seen in the last couple of days, isn't it?
It is, and it lends itself to high speed. It means that they're not standing still on the pedals. Even as they get near to the top of the climb, there's still an easy rhythm being tapped out. 1 or 2 riders managing to stay in the saddle, but the tempo is still respectable.
It's great to see so many supporters out on these climbs again. Northamptonshire really love their cycling.
There was the supporters from Marianne on the side. She's got her fan club here. She's very, very popular. Even when she didn't ride last year when she was injured, she was involved, of course, with our television production team doing the stand-ups with Ned Bolton. She is a superstar.
Yes, and that's Marta Bastianelli on the front of the group. Bastianelli was Voss's big rival through the juniors and in the first year. But Bastianelli, of course, won the Road World Championships before she was out of cycling for a little bit due to a doping ban.
another thing we don't mention about Vos very often is she's an Olympic champion on the track. She won the points gold medal in Beijing. So there is the summit of the climb. I'm wondering if they're just going to ride through here. Bujak was the winner of the first climb, picking up the 6 points, and it's looking very much as that's how it's going to finish again. Yeah, Bujak is over the line first, so she picks up the 6 points. Cecchini, the Italian, is second. So they are the first two, and there are the rest of the places for you. But of course that doesn't affect the Queen of the Mountains competition at all. It's already decided then, with Katie Hall the winner.
That's why I think we didn't see them actually chase there. It's much more important for them at this level to keep riding really well together. They don't want to get distracted by anything like sprinting for a Queen of the Mountains line.
No, they will be fully aware of the fact that the kilometres are slipping away and the advantage is very much in their hands.
They really will benefit from a lot of the other teams be looking at Boels Dolmans right now to do all the work, even though they're only down to 5 riders. As a team with the leading rider, the other teams are going to want them to work really hard and hopefully be too exhausted to actually finish off the race.
Well, if that team does come to the front to look after Lizzie Armitstead, it'll be a team time trial with them swapping the turns and keeping the tempo high to try and reel in this group. And one or two of the riders may just profit from that can sit in the wheels and jump away. Well, this is the peloton just approaching the foot of the climb, so you can see just how far behind they are. Remember, the climb is 1.1 kilometres long and the 7 are well down the road now.
It might be interesting to see if riders are going to attack on this climb, because again, if other riders want to get across and join to this group, now will be a good time to do it.
Well, that's right. I mean, the other riders will want to try and get into the mix and try and bridge up to it. You need 2 or 3 working together, but there's Molly Weaver, and she must be relishing the thought that she is the virtual leader on the road.
Welcome back. We'll be back to the racing very shortly. A quick word from the race organisation. And Hugh Roberts, Chief Executive of Sweet Spot. Great race, once again.
Great race. This is the 5th day, obviously, of a very, very close race, and anything can happen. We've still got a few minutes to go, and it could be a very, very close finish between Lizzie and Mariana. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, where does the race go from here? What are the plans for the future? The search for a new sponsor, the potential growth of the race?
I think it's vital, Ned, that we now find new partners, and I stress the word partner, to come on board with us to provide connectivity to all our spectators and viewers around the country. They've come out and showed an enormous amount of loyalty to the race, and I think we are duty bound to provide them with more information about what's going on in the race, and also at some time in the future perhaps them being allowed to have live coverage of the event, which they can watch on their Android or their laptop or their mobile phone as well. So
yeah, that's a good ambition. And one more question to you, and you don't have to give me you can give me a yes, no, or a maybe. 7 days next year.
I will say yes, and it should be at a marquee venue to start with. I'll leave your viewers to work out where that might be, but 7 days would be great. It would put us on a par with the men's tour as well, and I think the women deserve it.
Well said. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the race now in the company of Hugh and Sarah.
Thanks, Ned. Well, we are within 10 kilometres from the finish. The same 7 leaders are still in front, but their lead has now been reduced to just over 1 minute. Well, let me just tidy up the last sprint that took place in Desborough. It was uncontested. Lepisto rode through in first place, Bastianelli second, and Molly Weaver third. But now it's all about how much longer can the group of 7 stay clear.
Yes, their time is only down to 55 seconds, so Lizzie Armitstead is back in the leader's jersey. And it's quite surprising to see there on the chase group, Rabo Liv doing all the work, because really at this stage they should still be making Boels work.
But the leaders are still working very, very well together. And Molly Weaver, of course, is wired for sound, so she'll be getting all the information from the team car.
Yes, Molly may have lost her chance at general classification glory, but any one of these riders could still win the sprint. Now they've got 3 really strong sprinters in Bastianelli, Lepisto and Ensing, and Elena Cecchini also has a very strong sprint too.
Yep, so Cecchini, of course, is the Italian national champion. You already mentioned earlier, Bastianelli is a former world champion, and Lepisto, the Finnish champion, is no mean finisher. So it's still very much in the balance, and look at the power here being injected at the front of the peloton, and it's Rabo Liv that are doing all the driving.
That's Roxana Knateman in first wheel and Anuska Costa in third. But remember, at this point, these are the only 2 teammates Mariana Vos has in the race. So this may be a bad move for them, because if they're expending all their energy now, they won't be able to help her at the finish.
Well, that's a fair comment, but maybe Vos, who is so clever, if they do bridge and close up, will use the lead-out train from the team of Lizzie Armitstead.
Yes, and you can see them, the orange of Balls Dolmans just behind, with Lizzie Armitstead staying right at the front, ready for any attack, because at this point as well, we might see riders try and attack and get up to that front group.
It is really a gripping finish, isn't it, to this final stage, and the 7 still look to have plenty of energy. They're all spreading their workload. Nobody's actually shirking it and sitting at the back.
It's really good times for Ali Cipollini and High Tech Products, because both of them have a really strong sprinter behind. For Ali Cipollini, the whole team practically is sprinters, and of course for High Tech Products they have the queen of Dutch sprinters, Kirsten Field, who, if she's still in this group, that's perfect for them.
So who else can we speculate on should this group get pulled back?
Well, we've got some of the top sprinters here. We've got obviously Jolien Dora, who we saw take the third sprint point at the beginning of the race. There's Barbara Gurishi and Hannah Barnes of Canyon SRAM, and of course Hannah won a stage here last year.
Yeah, she won the final stage, Hannah Barnes, and she's been talked about as a possible winner here today. Well, 5 kilometres to go. So it's getting very, very close, isn't it, now to Kettering, and the group are stubbornly hanging on to the advantage. And Molly Weaver there, just tucked in at the back of the group. She will know the advantage is 42 seconds from the team car, but that is the blackboard showing the peloton what the lead is.
You can see a number of Canyon SRAM riders hanging in there in the front, and that's because Eleanor Cecchini, of course, at the front is a very good sprinter, but equally with Barnes and Gurishi, as we mentioned, they've got lots and lots of cards to play.
Well, you can see the commissaire waiting to get past, and that is because the gap is coming down to approximately 30 seconds, so the cars have to be pulled out now.
And that is very dispiriting for riders, because they know they've got such short amount of time to get away, and if they know that the peloton's chasing them that hard, that's real problems for them.
Well, it is 42 seconds then at the moment, so it's pegged, isn't it, just about on the 42nd point. I suppose really you could speculate on the possibility of this group staying away.
Well, the Aviva Women's Tour in all its history has got a really interesting thing for breakaways. We see a lot of breakaways, but they tend to be caught in the last few kilometres, so is this one to buck the trend?
Still Rabo Liv on the front, and they really are beginning to turn the screw here. And there is riders also from Balls Dolman just in the wings waiting to take over should they surrender the workload. But Molly Weaver still stands to gain a lot.
There's also, interesting, we just saw Amanda Spratt there at the front of the chase group, and of course she's 23 seconds behind on general classification, so she could be a rider who might try and escape here.
It was Cecchini then, the last rider we saw, taking over at the front of the 7. Riding for Canyon SRAM. She's 5:53 back overall, so it doesn't make any difference. Now then, it looks as though the pressure has gone out of the chase at the moment, because they're filling the full width of the road.
It's incredible there. You can see the Balls Dolmans riders on the front, because of course what they want to do is to stop any more attacks going and keep, because at this point Lizzie Armitstead's won the race.
Yeah, she's there right near the front on the right. There is Spratt on the left, the national Australian champion. And we've got a little bit of a fragmentation here with riders trying to go clear off the front of the 7.
That looks like it could be Lotta Lepisto in front, but it's the bright fluorescent yellow of Marta Bastianelli of Ali Cipollini making that chase.
Yeah, and it is Bastianelli that comes right up into the wheel of Lepisto and then continues to take over the pace setting. Well, Vos now has come through, so Marianne Vos has placed herself near the front.
She is very, very good at making late race attacks, so everyone's going to be watching her, because even though she can't win the race at this point, she still wants the stage glory.
The road just lipping up a little bit here. You can tell by the styles, 1 or 2 having to get out of the saddle. I mean, it's nothing too steep, but it is enough just to test the legs, and there are a lot of tight legs in this race now after nearly 5 days of racing.
That's Lepisto, the Finnish national champion, on the front, and just overtaking Cecchini, who you can tell from her Italian stripes.
Yeah, Cecchini then at the front, and it looks like an attack here on the right. Yeah, we've got an attack on the right.
That's Lauren Kitchen, the Australian from High Tech Products. She's having an amazing season. She had a very huge problems a couple of years ago, but since a couple of operations, she's really one to watch.
So the 26-year-old Australian is the first to strike out from the breakaway group, and at the moment it looks like Molly Weaver is suffering a little bit at the back.
Yes, she and Janneke Ensing there just ahead of her are really struggling to keep up. I wonder if we'll even see them dropped.
Well, the team of Canyon SRAM are also near the front, and at Rabo Liv, and they're beginning to gather themselves now as the chase continues, but they still haven't reeled in the 7.
It's interesting seeing Lepisto, Cervelo, Bigler teammates on the front. I think that was Clara Koppenberg. And of course they have two cars to play, Lepisto at front. But Ashley Milwan-Passio is only 14 seconds back.
2 kilometres to go. Well, can they do it? You've got to start asking yourself the question.
Well, they must know that they're so close, and this is where you have to really make sure that you work hard together, because they start looking at each other and playing with games. They've lost it.
Yeah, but 2 kilometres to go. Once again on the left, Rabo Liv are starting to come through for another injection of pace on the front of the peloton. There's no allies there. Nobody's prepared to help them.
Of course not, and it seems so strange that the amount of work they've put in to get this far. But there on the front, it's Eugenia Bujak. She's a multiple Polish time trial champion, so she seems to be trying to take a TT home.
Well, are they going to do it? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. This breakaway has been out there for a long, long time, having a lead of over 5 minutes at one point, but it's now chipped back to 38 seconds. 38 seconds the advantage, and looking back anxiously is Ensing of Park Hotel Valkenburg.
At this point, she must be trying to decide, do I work, do I try and get on the podium, or do I try and scupper this chase and work for my teammates behind?
Well, if they start playing around and doing track stands, then that, of course, would be the catalyst for failure. But at the moment, they're still fully committed. It's this group of 7 versus 2 from Rabo Liv.
And that's Anuska Costa on the front. She's still a young rider. She seems to be putting so much effort in here.
Yeah, so they're still lined out and hoping above hopes that they're going to do it. The Flamme Rouge must be getting very, very close now, and that's just going to leave us 1 kilometre to go. There it is, and it isn't technical, this final kilometre, I can tell you.
No, it's 500 metres of sort of descent, 300 metres of rise, and then 200 metres of flat.
So they are attacking each other. One rider then trying to go away, and the crouching style of the rider from Liv Planteur right on the nose of the peloton.
It's Floortje Mackay, her teammate, who's in the best young rider jersey, and behind them it's Leah Kirkman, and both of those are very, very fast finishers.
Well, now they're under the gantry and in the final kilometre. Well, the advantage is still there. The 7 look as though they could do this. Round the left-hander and round the right-hander. It's like a slalom course here as they're getting closer and closer to the line.
Yes, it's interesting seeing Molly Weaver pushing on the front and her 2 teammates pushing on the chase.
And on that long stretch of road, that is where the peloton will be able to see them. If this, of course, is in a twisty finish, then they would be out of sight. But now the peloton will sight them, but they are very, very close to the finish.
And Janneke Ensing, the pressure there, she's just dropped off the back, but here they are, starting their sprint.
Yep, it's uphill as well, but they're kicking on now for the line, and it's a question of who's got the power to win this. Here goes the move then from Lepisto, the Finnish champion. That small style of hers gives her the head of the contest, and it's Lepisto leading this one out now. And the rider from Italy, Aila Cipollini, is Bastianelli in second place. The crowd roaring them on up to the line. Lepisto takes it. Bastianelli second, and Cecchini in third place. And Molly Weaver crossed the line in 6th position. Now we're looking then for Marianne Vos, and there she is in a tussle then with Jolien Dora, the Belgian champion, and it's Jolien Dora that just pips Vos to the line, but it's all about the yellow jersey. There she is. Lizzie Armitstead crosses the line, and she's the winner of the 2016 Aviva Women's Tour. Let's take another look at the closing stages of the sprint.
Lepisto started that sprint so well, and she came out of that corner so fast. The other riders just can't keep up with her. You can see now Bastianelli's trying to edge closer, pushing Cecchini just off to one side there as they come to the line.
So Lepisto takes the final stage, and Lizzie Armitstead wins the Tour. Confirmation of the stage result. Lotte Lepisto took it ahead of Marta Bastianelli in second and Ella Cecchini in third place. Britain's Molly Weaver crossed the line in 6th. So the Finnish road race champion Lotte Lepisto took the final stage win of the 2016 Aviva Women's Tour. The Stoke-on-Trent European City of Sport jersey for the best young rider is won by Floortje Mackay, who finished 10th overall. Marianne Vos is the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey champion for 2016.
The points jersey and a stage win and a couple more podiums on stages. Happy with that?
Well, yeah, I think if I see how I came through this tour, I think this was the maximum we could do. So yeah, pretty happy.
The Strava Queen of the Mountains jersey goes to Katie Hall.
This is one of my first accomplishments in Europe, and so that's been a real goal for me. Coming from racing in America, it's a little bit more low-key, it's a little bit more aggressive, a little harder here, and so trying to make my mark on Europe has been one of my goals for a little while.
Lizzie Armitstead took to the podium to receive the Adnams Best British Rider jersey, and she was soon back to collect the Aviva Women's Tour yellow jersey.
Lizzie, many congratulations. Huge pressure on you. You know, it's your home tour, world champion. I know you came in with moderate expectations, but I'm sure you've exceeded them.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a fabulous tour for our team. I think we really showed what we're about. Bols Dolmans is probably the most dominant team in the world at the moment, and I couldn't have got this jersey without them. I think it was nice for us to race together and just to have an open tactic. You know, we weren't lying about that, it really was. We wanted everybody to have a good race, and once I took the jersey, it was kind of it would have been silly to let it go. So
the final general classification looks like this. Lizzie Armitstead wins by 11 seconds from Ashley Moolman-Passio, with Elisa Longo-Borghini close behind in third. Marianne Vos finishes just out of the podium places in fourth position.
Well, I think I can be fairly confident that none of you watching back home necessarily, and certainly not Helen nor I, would have predicted that Lottie Lepisto would have won the final stage of the Women's Tour. But she did, and the breakaway stayed away.
She did, absolutely. And I think for Bols Dolmans, it was a really good thing. You know, they wanted those riders to stay away to sweep up those bonus seconds and the time at the finish. And that's good for Lizzie then. And Lottie can ride really well in a sprint, and so from that group you would have expected it, but it was close. It was really close.
Yeah, and there was no finger pointing amongst the other teams organising the chase that they weren't sharing the work on this occasion. It just didn't work out, and it was a strong group, wasn't it?
It was a strong group, and a lot of the teams were represented, which is really important for the riders, and it's really important for a break to stay away that way. And you know, sometimes you get those opportunities and you take them as much as you can.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of the race. I mean, you know, wrap things up in terms of negatives and positives. There are very few negatives, really. I mean, perhaps we might say we didn't see much from the Barnes sisters, which are two riders we're looking forward to seeing. But there are circumstances there, aren't there, that explain that?
Yeah, I think Hannah's come back from a really serious injury, and she was still on crutches back in January, and so for her to ride the way she has in this race is really, really good, and she's coming back really strong, and hopefully the next few races you'll actually see her feature. And for Alice, she's 19 years old, you know, she's a superstar and so young, and so for her it was more about gaining that experience, and she's won so many races in the UK, but the level between British national races and the very best riders in the world is still really high, and so for her to perform in the way that she has performed in this race is really impressive.
Absolutely. From the superstars, though, we learnt a lot, didn't we? Marianne Vos clearly on an upward curve, would you agree?
Yeah, Marianne Vos clearly on upward curve. Ashley Moolman-Passio were definitely going to be one to watch in the climbing races, Giro, Olympics, and yeah, I mean, it's just exciting. You've got obviously the standards like Lizzie as well, and it's going to be a really, really exciting next few months in women's racing.
Yeah, and as Lizzie Armitstead said, bang on where she wants to be right now. Perfect for her season's preparations.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's riding super strong. And you've also seen from Mariana that in any kind of sprint that's slightly flatter that she's come to the finish, she's, you know, back to the old Mariana that we love watch racing in previous years.
Excellent. So on that note, are we back to the old Helen Wyman next year, or are you going to be doing the telly thing with me?
No, I will be back with Matrix Fitness, and we will be in this race.
It's interesting. They don't tend to come back for a second year working on the television. Don't know why that is. So what have we learned that we didn't know about Lizzie Armitstead? Well, not very much. She is world class, and she is on top of the world right now. What have we learned about the British cycling scene? It continues to thrive. In fact, it's not a bad place for a bike race.